The artist Anne Ryan had a passion. Given her relentless pursuit, you could almost say an imperative to express herself creatively. She was a writer, a poet, a painter, and a printmaker, achieving varying degrees of moderate success. It wasn't until she came across an exhibit of Kurt Schwitter's that, at the age of 59, she suddenly found her calling, the art of collage. According to Ryan's daughter, Elizabeth McFadden, after seeing Schwitter's work, they visited the exhibit 3 times. We went home, and before my mother put water on for supper, she was at her work table making collages. Initially, Ryan mimicked Schwitter's use of incorporating found materials, as evidenced by her use of sugar cube wrappings from New York's famed Rumpel Myers restaurant. But she soon found her own voice through a focus on used materials such as gauze and netting, textured and patterned silk and satin, and handmade papers by the pioneering papermaker Douglas Morse Howell. According to her daughter, when something got old and to the usual person was ready for the trash can, then we would say, now it's getting to the collage stage. For the next 6 years until her death, Ryan created, completing more than 700 collages, executed quickly and spontaneously, work that received unequivocal, critical, and popular support. It was as if words and images had been approximate expressions of her creativity, while collaging, assembling disparate pieces into a new whole, provided a vocabulary with which to finally and fully express herself. They were, in the words of critic Hilton Kramer, diminutive and intimate, with something of the character of a private conversation. What was it about collage that allowed this artist to finally flourish? We'll come back to this. Ryan was born into an Irish-American family of moderate means in Hoboken, New Jersey. By the age of 14, she would be orphaned. First, her father died, then 1 year later, her mother committed suicide, leaving her and 3 brothers in the care of their grandmother. She went to college, but left in her junior year to marry, eventually having 3 children. Her husband suffered from mental instability. In 1923, at the age of 34, they separated, after which Ryan struggled to make ends meet. She earned a meager living publishing poetry, writing for newspapers, and running a bakery in New Jersey. About 10 years later, her daughter's then boyfriend, a sculptor, encouraged Ryan to move to Greenwich Village, exposing her to the avant-garde community of artists. About living in the village, Ryan proclaimed, "This is my district." 4 years later, she began painting, first in pastels and later oil. Words of encouragement offered by the esteemed teacher Hans Hofmann provided much-needed support. By 1941, at 52, Ryan exhibited, mostly abstractions, at the Pinacoteca on Madison Avenue and received mostly favorable reviews. That same year, she sought a scholarship to begin formal study at Atelier 17 in New York City, founded by Stanley William Hayter, an English painter and master printmaker. The space served as a convergence point for young Americans and avant-garde Europeans. Ryan flourished, enjoying the extraordinary benefits of this close community of artist printmakers. 7 years later, in 1948, we come full circle with Ryan attending the Schwitter's exhibit, initiating her collage work. After just 1 year, she joined the Betty Parsons Gallery, a leading avant-garde art dealer who represented the 20th century artists who would come to define and dominate the abstract expressionist movement, namely Pollock, Rothko, Motherwell, and Newman, with works that were vast in scale and exhibited in relatively close environments, so the viewer was virtually enveloped by the experience. While not an abstract expressionist herself, Ryan used abstraction and poetic rhythms to create intensely intimate and fragile works that were, in sharp contrast to the wall-sized, philosophically motivated images that surrounded hers, tiny by comparison. Her pieces rarely exceeded 7 by 8 inches, less than the size of a piece of paper. Due to their size and detail, these works literally drew the viewer in. To observe a Ryan collage is to get up close, to examine, which was exactly my experience when seeing her at the Museum of Modern Art. But the question remains, of all her creative pursuits, what was it about these small format, puzzle-like works that allowed Ryan to reach her full creative capacity? In my research, I found no elaboration on the traumatic effect parental loss and suicide had on Ryan. Simply, this tragedy happened, end of story. But I would argue that of all the artistic endeavors in which Ryan was engaged, the technique of collage, the repetitive, meditative act of choosing, cutting, and tearing material materials, composing them into a harmonious whole again and again and again, was an unconscious effort to figuratively put the pieces back together. That within the confines of a small, contained, intensely personal space, Ryan was, perhaps, working and reworking the same problem, trying to make sense of the senseless, to resolve the unresolvable. And she did it beautifully. Today, her work resides in 19 public collections, including the Met, the Whitney, Yale Art Gallery, and the Hirshhorn, to name a few. Thanks for watching. Please share, subscribe, and get your art fix on. Until next time.